Nate Saunders here with McLaren CEO Zak Brown. Zak, welcome back. You're back in your home country for the week. I know this is one of your
home country,
races.
not hometown, but home country.
Yeah, near enough. Before we start, I think you've had a pretty cool build-up to this race because you were in the cockpit of one of your McLarens, Daniel Ricciardo's 2021 race-winning car. What was that like? That looked amazing.
It was fast. It's almost undescribable. I have Lewis's 2012 car, which won the first Austin race, and that flies. I was out here last year with Mario, which was really special. And it's just undescribable, the power, the instantaneous power, the braking, the cornering. It was awesome. I'm definitely jealous of Lando and Oscar's day job.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of their day job's got a lot more fun and a lot more competitive over the past couple of months. The turnaround since the start of the year has been amazing. I mean, one of the feel-good stories of the year. How proud are you of what the team has done this season? Because we were looking back at it in the media centre when we got here. Not many stories similar to what McLaren has done in terms of where you were and where you are now. Yeah,
the men and women at McLaren have done an outstanding job. It was a very difficult start to the year. We kind of started ninth quickest, and we're absolutely nowhere. And then second half of the season, we've been kind of second, third quickest, lots of podiums, and it's been an amazing turnaround. You know what it's all about? It's all been about the leadership, Andrea and his leadership team, because the impressive part to me is it's the same men and women that gave us the car in Bahrain that have given us this car for the second half of the year. And I think what's different is the leadership that Andrea Stella has provided, the way he restructured the technical department, the way he's empowered people. So clearly we had the right people with the right brains, but we weren't operating in the right way. And this is something that, as you know, we had our driver issue last year, which kind of stole the headlines. But actually underneath that, I didn't think our car was really going anywhere, and that was concerning to me. So there was kind of publicly we were having to deal with our driver issue. Privately, I was starting to deal with kind of my lack of satisfaction of how I thought the car was coming along. So driver issue aside, then we turn our attention to the car. We see our data, and we see that we're going to have a terrible start to the year, which Andrea commented on, which I think was the right thing to do. So we weren't surprised. We were disappointed, but not surprised. And then at the same time, we got hard to work with his new structure and the way he's empowered people. And the data started to say, hey, we're going to have a good race car in Austria. So it was a weird dynamic having to kind of deal with being so poor on track while underneath we liked what was in the oven, so to speak.
And while that's happening, you're almost kind of treading water. You're like, I wish you guys could see what we're seeing at the time. I remember there was like a sense of you guys were like, just wait and see what we're bringing out.
I thought it was very brave of Andrea to kind of call his shot for Austria, because when things were so bad, it was like, oh, God.
When it was like, wow, that's a big statement from where you were, right?
And Andrea's not kind of a big statement guy.
Yeah.
He's very understated. He kind of lets the car and the team do the talking on the track. So when he did that, I was a bit, because I felt so wounded from the start of the year.
Sure.
I was a bit gun-shy to make any predictions that were too aggressive. But, I think what you see with Andrea is what you see is what you get, and he calls it as he sees it. Mm-hmm. And if he sees something's positive, he calls it. And if he sees something's not going as well, he calls it. And he's just done a fantastic job. And but it's a team effort. It's stronger than any one person, but it starts with leadership, and Andrea has just done an awesome job.
And you mentioned the driver issue last year. One of the many good parts of this season has been Oscar's season. I mean, unbelievable. You obviously knew what you were getting with Oscar. You kind of had to go to court to get him from Alpine last year, but you must be so impressed with how he's hit the ground running and just how he's kind of supported. Lando's probably been the more consistent of the two, but when you're a rookie, I think there's an expectation that you probably struggle, whereas with Oscar, we're seeing him getting better and better already, and you wonder where the ceiling is with him.
Yeah, I think we've got the best driver lineup in Formula One. Even Max agrees. Lando's 5 years in now is unbelievably fast. So it was a great kind of benchmark for Oscar. And Oscar is mature, very intelligent, clearly very fast. And he didn't even race last year. So,
he just sat waiting to get in.
He just sat there waiting. And so the combination of them is awesome. Oscar takes a very methodical approach to a race weekend. He doesn't got to try and win Friday first practice and end up in the fence, and then you're on your back foot all weekend. He just creeps up on it. He looks at the data. He sees what Lando's doing. He takes it in, and then come showtime on Saturday, he puts the lap down, and his racecraft is getting better and better. His tire management, and I think that comes from experience. So the things that we need to be a world championship team are now all in place. Now it just all needs to come together. We need to keep doing what we're doing, but we have the people, we have the resources, we have technology, we have the drivers, we have the desire. Now we just need to keep working hard.
And I think at the start of the year when we spoke, you said 2025 was the goal for the championship. That must feel a lot more tangible now, given what we've seen this year. Is that still the goal, or can you move that to 24?
I think I'd like to think we can start winning some races in 24. We're knocking on the door now. Even though we have everything in place, it wasn't all in place for our 24 cars, so we're in our new wind tunnel now. But we started 6 months ago on last year's car. We have some very senior people joining who will be additive to this great team, but they don't start till January. So we really won't be at our full strength till 25. We'll start 24 with everything that we need, but you're already kind of halfway through the journey.
Sure.
So I'd like to think we can win races next year, and then, as I always say, once you're winning races, if you win enough of them, you can fight for the championship. So it definitely feels like it's around the corner, but we also know how quickly this sport changes, and therefore we've got to keep our head down. This is not an easy sport. The competition's tough. What we've done, anybody can do. It's not impossible to do what we've done, and therefore you can't kind of discount someone else having a breakthrough like we've had. So therefore we just got to keep doing what we're doing.
Just finally, I wanted to tangent over to one of the other big talking points in Formula One is 11th team, Andretti. Obviously, that's something that will be an issue for a little while now. I know you're very close with Michael Andretti. Where do you see that bid going at the moment? It seems like Formula One is still very much kind of opposed to that generally. Do you think there's any chance we can see Andretti joining the grid? Because I know a lot of fans kind of overwhelmingly want that to happen. Teams have some very, very solid reasons for not wanting that to happen. How do you see that playing out? Is there any chance we get Andretti, or do you think it's maybe not the right time?
I definitely think there's a chance. It like a lot of things in Formula One, they become very political. There's really only two people that have a say in the matter, and that's Formula One and the FIA. Obviously, the teams have a voice, and you've heard a variety of voices. As I've said from day one, as long as it's additive to the sport, then I think it's a good thing.
Yep.
And that's what Formula One has said. I think ultimately, because we've not seen their presentation and we've not been consulted to date, I think it's, none of us know what's been presented. So if someone can present a case that they're additive to the sport, great, whether it's Andretti or another team. And if they're not additive, then we need people to bring something to the table. Certainly, General Motors is a awesome OEM, and that would certainly, having General Motors in the sport, I think would be great for the sport. And so now they're going to go through the process. And what I'd like to see is just some visibility to what's going on, because everyone kind of has an opinion, but no one's actually seen what's on the table.
And you're expecting to have that opportunity soon? Is it something that? I know you don't. I know you guys don't get a vote in it, but obviously your opinions in it should shape what Formula One wants to do. Right?
Correct. So I'd like to think, what we know is FIA's approved them and who they haven't approved, but we don't kind of know why those that didn't get approved, why they didn't get approved, and those that did. So I think at some point I'd hope that there'd be a presentation to the teams when the final decisions are made of, here's why we've said yes, or here's why we've said no, and here's why we've said yes to this team and not that team, so we could have better visibility, and then we can have maybe a more informed decision, because I think right now there's a lot of conjecture, and teams voicing their opinion without having the facts. So I'd like to see the facts before having a firm opinion on anything.
And finally, you've worked with Michael in IndyCar. How much have you two talked kind of just away from the politics of the paddock on, he must want to pick your brains all the time about F1, the politics, the paddock, and you've got quite a unique perspective, I guess, to give him. Have you talked much about it, or are you in a kind of a bit of an awkward situation there?
No, it's not awkward for me at all. I mean, we're great friends. He's helped us out in IndyCar over the years. We're partners in supercars. So I'm what you see is what you get, and I'm happy to with anyone, Michael or anyone else for that matter, kind of share my views on Formula One or IndyCar or racing, and people are free to ask me any question they want, and I'll give them a straight answer. So we haven't spoken a lot about it, but happy to chat with anyone about anything, anytime when it comes to motor racing. I love the topic.
Yeah, well, and as we saw with you getting in the car recently, Zach, thanks very much, and best of luck this weekend.
My pleasure.
Awesome, thanks.